The 19th.
Sunday the 19th, Party Fam Podcast. Ready. Action. Double check and make sure we're recording. We are live.
Good. Because I would hate to have like a duplication or repetition of we're trying to record my podcast with my brother and we ended up going 45 minutes without realizing that the flash button on the recorder means that it's prepared to record. Does not mean it is actually recording, and he was unhappy with the situation. And
Yeah, the conversation is unique, and its original form is, nice to get in there, but
yeah, he was not pleased.
technical difficulties always, right?
Yeah.
Always something. So
Well, no technical difficulties here.
I think we got him shook out. So shake him out. Shake it.
Now, so I think we're good money. Ready to fire. No, yo, speaking of fire, I didn't prepare you that I was gonna ask you about this.
Oh, here we go.
Did you check out the new Eminem album yet?
No.
Man.
Did you?
I did.
Did you get
I did.
What'd you get? You just download?
Yeah.
Cause I seen Radio Wasteland. They posted. Didn't they post that you could get a special vinyl copy of it, like a?
Yeah, but I think that was pre-order, and I think I think what kind of caught everybody's by surprise was that it dropped now. But if you are familiar with Marshall Mathers, he dropped a bomb. It's good.
Really?
It's real good.
Really?
I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah, and that's kind of rich coming from me because I used to be known as the Eminem hater because I love my mom. I'm mama's boy, so I was like, this is dope. It's fire, but
I seen all that mom shit, man.
Yeah,
I love my mom.
I love my mama.
Mama! I love you, mom.
Shout out to moms everywhere.
Yeah.
Nah, the Eminem album was fire. It's a lot of people are.
That's good to hear. I'm interested in it. I want to.
Especially since we never talked about like the Nick Cannon Eminem situation, which got beat to death. I'm sure everybody has seen every kind of video and every kind of podcast talking about it. But I always knew an album was coming.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of what happens. The dude sits around, he doesn't do anything until somebody says his name. A little bit of beef, a little bit of public beef, and then boom, album. But it gives the people what they want, man.
Yeah, man.
He's definitely a talented musician. I was really impressed with like all the features that were on there. He had Griselda on there, which if you're like into like the hardcore rap scene, it's one of the groups he recently signed to Shady, and they're out of Buffalo, New York. Pretty dope. One of my little hidden gems that
nice.
Marshall. He knows what he's doing. And he dropped I think people will really like it. I know a lot of people were talking about it. Halsey dropped at the same time, and you drop at the same time as Marshall. Sorry,
Yeah.
he kind of takes up all the attention.
Right.
But nah, man, it's.
Yeah, it definitely worked for me because I would say he's off my radar, just in comparison to where he was at one time.
Yeah.
And so, like you say, all of it kind of sparked something back up to where I was interested, like what is going on with it, and the whole Nick Cannon thing, I didn't put much attention to it,
No, okay, no attention was needed. everybody who really got amped up about it, let's be honest, we wasted our time. It's a comedian versus a very, very talented musician. It was fun clickbait. It did what it needed to do. It gave us something to talk about on Twitter that wasn't political, that wasn't depressing.
Like I was glad to know that his show was still on. What's the name of it again?
Wildin' Out.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
he's
still on, right?
He's got every kind of show. He's like he's the TV. He is the new Ryan Seacrest because he's got a whole bunch of television shows out. He's the Masked Singer. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he's had no spoilers. I'm sure like people are like, the finale's already happened. I'm sure people have already kind of checked it out and saw who won. And of course, being on the channel Fox, the Fox character was the one who won. And
really,
it ended up being Wayne Brady.
Really?
Yes.
That's great.
But dude, Wayne Brady can sing.
Really?
But it's another little feather in his Nick Cannon's executive producer hat. So he's not hurting. Marshall's not hurting. He took over. I mean, he took over the weekend, really, besides the snowstorm. But no, man, let's get into what we came to do.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk. What do you got for us? Let's talk. Like first forms of media and first stuff that you bought. Like, what was your first CD? What's the first CD you can remember? Like, you like saved up your money and you went and bought, or like you worked for it and moms went and grabbed it, or
Yeah, there are a couple unofficial answers. There is the one that I say to impress the people, and there's the one it actually was, and they happened simultaneously, because it was one of those things to where one of the CDs you can get when mom and dad was there, and the other one you kind of couldn't.
Right.
So the official first CD of me was the Mighty Ducks 2 soundtrack.
Oh man!
And I hope this is a no judgment zone.
Nice.
But yes, of all the possible, I mean, because back then we were still on tapes. We were heavy on the cassette tapes. I know maybe a few of you listening don't know what those are, but I was heavy on the cassette tapes. But the first CD purchase was one with that. It was one that mom was there, so it had to be something official. I bought that album because it had "Whoop There It Is" on it.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that it had "Whoop There It Is" on it.
Because little known fact though, I already had the "Whoop There It Is" tape.
Yeah, but
the "Whoop There It Is" tape was a tape that I recorded off of the radio. So that couldn't be an official one. So yeah, first one.
I was a total sucker for single tapes. Like,
oh yeah,
like
$1.99. Everybody had $2.
Oh man, like
$2.11.
Yeah, that was just the best.
Like right now, it'll get you like a McDouble. back when I was a young whippersnapper, I could listen to 3 different versions of one song. Nah, that's but like straight up, that's what you get. You get the a cassette single, $2.11 with sales tax, and you got the album version, you got the radio edit, and you got the instrumental.
Because I can remember like I can remember getting like.
Before we go there, what was first CD?
Oh yes. Okay, don't let me. Hold on, we'll come back to that.
Okay, we'll go back to that.
I almost called them Special K, but no, it was Positive K.
Yeah.
So we went and got the Positive K tape, and or no, yeah,
CD or tape?
I think it was the tape.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I think you could only get Positive K in a tape, though.
Okay, there we go. So that makes sense. Okay, so we get Positive K as the tape, and when we get there, you could get the single, What Your Man Got to Do With Me.
Yeah.
What your man got to do with me?
I got him, man. Yeah.
I'm trying to hear that, see?
Man, that was the jam.
That was so good,
I can't believe that was your first tape.
No, that wasn't. But my point being, when we went, we decided to buy the whole tape,
Mm-hmm.
and so we spent the money, and we're like, all right, now that we bought the whole thing, we got to listen to it, man, and like the rest of it wasn't that good, I
got it, man. It's like, what the rest of it to do with me was pretty much the only thing on there.
Yeah, the rest of it was tough, man. It was tough to love it, and so here we were like forcing ourselves into like.
Hold on, I got it. Okay, see, we said we needed to be prepared. If I would have known that was your first one, I would have Googled what the rest is on that. I have to see what else was on that album.
Okay, while you look up that, I'll talk a little bit on the. Pardon me. I'll talk a little bit on the first CD. So first CD came in play with my first Discman, and I had I was number 4 in the fam. I was number 1 out of 4. So this wasn't my Discman. This was our Discman. And so everybody kind of, there was like some music that was picked up, and in the end, I was obviously the one hogging it, being the oldest and the pretty heavy into music, but I talked my mom into it, and she was even hesitant when she seen the explicit lyrics on it, and she was usually, if mom usually would give in to stuff like that, and she was always a music fan too and stuff, so she let it slide. But I'm pretty sure the first one was House of Pain, and so
oh man, yeah, that didn't go well in my house. Yeah, that didn't go well at all. I was a kid when that came on, watching that on MTV. My mom was like, "Don't play that ribbity rap stuff in my house." For House of Pain. My older brother had that CD. See, I had the benefit of having a much older brother who was able to like make sure that I got some of the older stuff kind of early.
Yeah, you probably got a little flavor that I didn't get my hands on.
Bro, so we have to go back to The Skills That Pay the Bills. That's the tape that was that was the tape that you bought. That was the tape. So the Positive K album highlights.
Here we go.
Highlights the tracks that people will probably know. Everybody knows I Got a Man, but did you know that this was the album with the Night Shift remix on it? Ooh. Okay, yeah. This album kind of went nowhere like the rest of his career. Official one-hit wonder, but yeah. What did Mom think about How the Fuck Would You Know? Because that's exactly what one of those titles were. And if my mom would have picked that tape up and saw the back of that, it's a wrap for Positive K. Positive K would have been Negative K in my house. I'm positively getting my ass kicked. That's awesome.
I can remember, like, I'd been listening to it in this Discman, and no one had heard it. No one had heard Jump Around. No one had heard the unedited version of Jump Around, except for me. And we went on like a little family trip to some cousin's house, and when we got there, they had a really nice new CD player, and we were like checking it all out, maybe it was like a 6-disc or something real fancy, and they were like, oh yeah, and I was like, oh, I got the CD that I'm in love with. They're like, oh yeah, pop it in, and I think I only got about half a play out of it. And they were like, hey man,
like, yeah, that's gotta go.
Yeah, you got to listen to this one in the headphones, man.
They didn't want to listen to the hip hop stylings of Everlast.
Right. Oh man. But right then, man, that was like, that it gave you that feeling that was that first taste of that music freedom that you get, where you're like, I'm picking my own music,
Oh, I didn't officially have that then. My brother picked out my music, but that would have been dope, because I remember House of Pain explicitly, because it explicitly got my older brother's tape collection ran through. Now we did these little things to where like she would get like the gospel tapes.
Okay.
So we would take the inserts of the gospel tapes and we put them in the inserts of the tapes that we bought.
Ah, yeah.
Not knowing that they would backfire and she would think that those were hers. Ended up taking them.
Oh my God.
My mother got 2 tracks into the Doggy Style album.
Oh no.
Before that tape went out the window. And when we got home, we were picking our own switch off of the tree.
She tossed it out the window like that chick from Set It Off did.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Definitely. That was definitely getting tossed directly out the box. And then we would have a little family meeting, and we would be reinforce the house rules. And the biggest house rules was no filth, flam, filth in your radios or tape players, which is why my first CD purchase was with my parents, and it was definitely the Mighty Ducks 2 soundtrack. Now, I was able to make the loop when they went to JCPenney's back to my local Sam Goody, which at the time was a spot that I used to buy my 99-cent to $2 single tapes,
Sam
CDs,
Goody.
and I turned around and
what city?
Midland,
Sam Goody.
Yep, the Midland when Midland finally got the mall, and turned right back around. Got the I had my Mighty Ducks CD there. I didn't take it back, but I also went and bought the Criss Cross Da Bomb CD. It's the bomb. It's the bomb. That was my favorite. That was one of the first albums that I learned how to rap front to back. So that would have been right around like 94-ish, 95-ish. That if you would have asked me to rap that album from top to bottom, I could do it easily.
So
also,
I got a confession to make, and if any of my elementary school kids, my old gang from Hillside, if any of them ever listen to this, they can contest to it. Pretty much like half of the 6th grade, I wore my clothes backwards.
Yes, we all did it. We all did it. You're lying if you said you didn't. If you were around when Criss Cross came out, you would get off the bus, immediately go to the bathroom, turn your shit backwards. I remember the first time I turned my shirt backwards, it was a Bo Jackson jersey.
Oh, the jerseys were the best, man.
It was definitely a the all black, with the white number Raider jersey.
That's so punk.
Back when using Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl was a cheat.
Yeah.
You couldn't use it because you were guaranteed to score a touchdown every time you handed them the ball. But I remember I was definitely trying to rock my pants backwards.
Yep.
Hat to the back.
Man.
Shout out to LaFace Records at that time that had Criss Cross and TLC.
Oh man,
so
that
they were
TLC
all
was
they were
good.
all doing the backwards pants,
Yeah.
the backwards baseball jerseys.
Yep.
Yeah,
Left Eye was
so
just
fire.
killing it.
That shit was so hype.
Yeah. I was at the other end of the mall. I was going to Camelot. That was the one at the other end, right? And that's where I got roped in. And so I can remember I had many tapes, but the first tape where I was like, starting to venture off into my own music likings. One of the ones I remember is the single for Ice Cube, It Was a Good Day. And I mean, I had that tape for a long time. That thing got played so much. And like I don't think my parents kept a lot of tapes. My parents were both big into records. My dad had a really monster record collection growing up. Both my parents graduated from U of M, and they lived in the city for a while. And my dad was like a weekly stop at the record store, and so he was buying records like every week. I can even remember like going through his record collection and seeing two of a record, and being like, dude, how do you like buy two of a record? And
little did we know.
And then like then like I come home one time and I'm like going through some stuff, and as I'm like putting it away, I'm like, wait a minute, I already got that one. It's like, so it made me laugh and made me think about that, but yeah, my dad always had a monster collection, record collection. And luckily my sister was a pack rat and saved it for a real long time, and so I was able to rebirth a whole bunch of it, and we've played it and enjoyed it a whole lot.
Yes, we have.
And that's.
Did they? Do you ever remember them buying records, or were these records that already existed? Because
they were records that had already existed.
I don't remember my parents. I'm an '82 baby.
81.
So we would have been right around that same time to where they would have still been buying records. We may have caught a glimpse or a little bit of a memory of them. I remember them buying tapes. I don't ever remember seeing anybody buy a record.
And I don't remember being in a record store with them either. I don't think I was ever in a record store with them. I went to some cool, like, they took me to Ann Arbor a couple of times and took me to some cool shops and stuff, but I don't think I was ever in like a record store with them. But too, man, my dad had, his collection was just, it was very Bob Seger, Led Zeppelin heavy, and sprinkled in all the way around was all the, Aerosmith, Motley Crue, and then all the branchings off of all that kind of stuff. It was a very wide range of stuff, so it was, but like you say, it was almost past their time of buying records, and it was, into tapes and stuff, and then like our like entertainment center in the living room was 2 turntables, a tape deck with double decks in it, some amplifier and stuff, and then records, and then a bunch of tapes and stuff. I actually, the big stand, my dad actually made it, and eventually it even went to like the first house I bought. I wound up taking it over there and like.
Because you have to keep I have my dad's old Marantz set up. It's been in the garage and in storage for almost 25 years. Probably doesn't work, but still got to keep it. My dad's record collection was kind of crazily, amazingly diverse, which is crazy because my dad came over from Nigeria in like 75. He had a lot more classic rock than I would have assumed.
Really?
Yes. Steppenwolf. I remember specifically putting it on because that was the way I used to get in a lot of trouble. Going like my mom had a separate record collection, and being a black lady from West Virginia, she had what you would expect. She had your Motowns. She had your Stevie Wonders, your Marvin Gayes, all that old stuff. But my dad had everything from Funkadelic to Conway Twitty. Now my mom had some too, a little bit of Conway Twitty. Their country obsession. I have a lot of country records I never expected to have. But no, yeah,
do they listen to country now?
No. My mom used to. My dad got to meet Garth Brooks. So he was a big Garth Brooks fan.
That's great.
But, that gene didn't really pass down to...
My mom, when I was growing up, she listened to good music. I shouldn't have said it like that. Now she listens to country. No. Sorry, Mom.
Hey, yes. Because my mom went from having the coolest record collection, because that's the one that I try to take from now the most. My mom went to having the coolest record collection to having like 99.7 Christian rock and Christian rock ballads and strictly gospel. So somewhere my mom went extremely hard with the religion and definitely went from Cameo, Prince, and all that good stuff in the 80s to all the really pious stuff right around the time that MTV came out, and she was whooping me and my brothers for listening to DJ Quick. Definitely, yeah. Yeah, we were definitely getting. She had to counteract the filth that was coming into her house, so she had a bunch of Christian records.
That's great.
But no, favorite old record.
I'm gonna call my favorite old record. I'm also gonna call it my first record, and anybody can say what they want.
Well, no, okay, first record. We'll start with first record.
I'm gonna combine them because when I was a kid and I would dig through my parents' records, one of the ones that we that always caught my eye and that I always liked and that I always made them play was the Michael Jackson "I'm Bad," and then I can remember that when I got a little bit older, one of the things I asked for my birthday was like a stereo, and they got me like a really cool like Radio Shack one, like it had like 2 wooden speakers, some weird no-name stuff, not real loud or anything, but it had like a real crummy turntable on the top, and then it had like a radio, and then it had like a double deck tape deck, and it had like, high speed recording. That was pretty fancy.
Oh, you needed the high speed recording because if you didn't have it, you would record like the regular tapes off of the. We'll get into more of the recording regular tapes off the radio before, but you would have to put in that little piece of wax paper under it to make sure that the shit would actually be consistently through, or else it would pop.
Right.
Like when Biggie said, I let my tape rock till my tape pop. That's because he was recording on bullshit cassette tapes.
Right.
But you had to have, so if you had the high speed recording or the Maxell high 90s.
I always love that line M drops where he's like, I think he says, does he say bought Cage's tape? Bought Cage's tape, or is it bought Gage's tape? I forget, but he says something like bought Cage's tape, opened it, and dubbed over it. Like,
yeah,
bought your tape, opened it,
recorded over
it.
That is the most disrespectful thing you could do with a cassette tape, especially like a brand name purchased one. That'd be like having buying somebody's CD right now. Oh my goodness. For some of y'all not going to know, you cannot burn over a CD.
Right.
A pre-made CD, but with cassettes, you could record over cassettes. So
you had to know you had to cover the holes, or the trick on it,
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of pirating. Music has always existed. The way that we used to pirate off of cassettes in the radio was priceless, though. We'll get into that a little bit more.
Yeah, like the pirate.
The old school pirate joints was awesome, though, because you recorded off the radio and you'd still get like the DJ talking into it. So it was like you had a professional DJ hosting your mixtape.
Dude, we would, and everybody was doing it. You would hear a song and you'd be so in love with it that you'd want it on tape, and so you'd be dying to record it off the radio. They wouldn't play it. You'd be sitting there, you got the record ready. You're like ready to hit the button. You're running up there every time it goes to a new song, You've like ran up to your stereo like 15 times, Finally, you like call this radio station, request it and shit, And then finally your song, you're over there, you hit record, Yeah.
Got it. But and you're always waiting to make sure, because you have to learn the song. You'll like listen to it. You'll try to record it the first time. It'll mess up, and then you'll be like, all right, I'm going to listen to it the next time to see when the DJ is going to kick in, because there was always a magic point to when the DJ start talking, and you want to make sure you cut it off so you don't have the DJ talking through it. The recording, the bootlegging music game when we were in like mid-90s, 80s, mid-90s. That shit was so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny, you know.
But you can never dub over. You can't dub over vinyl, of course. And you can't dub over CDs, but you could dub over somebody's tape.
Yeah.
That was disrespectful, too, because you could also dub over somebody's, like, videotape.
Yep.
And I got the beating of a lifetime when I dubbed the 1992 gymnastics Olympic final over my brother's birth. Which had nothing to do with music, but that was hilarious. Shout out to my little brother Takumba if you're watching.
We're glad you were born. Sorry about the video. My buddy Forrest, he would occasionally, you know, not make it to school for one reason or another. All right, he'd skip school a lot. And they had good cable TV, and he would do the same thing, but, you know, VHS record and do video mixes. And so, man, after, like, you know, he'd skip school like 3 or 4 times, he had this one, and it was just stocked. It was right when all the really cool it was right when Wu-Tang was hitting real hard. And I mean, he had like what, it was before Gravel Pit. It was what was that double CD that came out? What was the Triumph?
Yeah,
Triumph
off the Wu album.
Yep. Off that Wu album. That video was just out cold. It had like all of them in it, and they all rapped, you know, and like, you know, that's when MTV was like, you know, they had it.
Oh, they had everything. They had the rock show. Well, they had all kind of different rock shows, but they had Yo MTV Raps.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, like, and the only time, like, rap was really on television, unless you could, we were paying for, like, some Canadian channels, and we just so happened to get Video Music Box, which, like, if you're familiar with, like, hip-hop and stuff like that, that was a lot of the New York area rap.
Was it called, like, The Box or something like that?
It was called The Box.
Dude, I think I was getting that for a little while, like, out of the blue, getting, like, some...
And we were getting it in Michigan, and all of a sudden we weren't getting it. And I was so distraught.
Yeah.
Because they were playing hip-hop. They play hip-hop, they play rock, and then they would play... you'd, like, see Prince videos.
Yeah.
And then they would play Kung Fu flicks.
Really?
Yeah, that channel will black out. Like, if you were still watching at like 3 a.m, would have some Shaw Brothers movie on, which was super dope. Because if you know, like, the Wu-Tang story, that's like what they based all their samples off of, were all those old Kung Fu flicks. So that shit was pretty sweet. We'll get into a MTV. We definitely have to do an MTV pod.
Yeah, we'll just do a whole pod on MTV. We should almost even
because maybe y'all don't know, and maybe the people don't know how live MTV actually was at one time.
Right.
You know, it was a novel idea, I know, but they would play music.
Yeah.
And it would be the music that we wanted to listen to.
Dude, it was just music videos, like none of the bullshit. I mean, we'd watch it before school. We'd just turn it on so that it was like music and videos playing, you know, you just listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was it wasn't really streaming, but it was the music. It was how you had your house party DJ'd at the time if you didn't have a DJ.
Yeah.
It was the way that you could, I mean, like you said, you'd make videotapes, you'd make the audio tapes off the radio. Like I would be using 102.5 and 107.1
and that's why we'll have to do a podcast on it, because honestly, nothing has ever filled, and not to like go that far to it, nothing has ever filled that void that MTV left. Nothing came through and just started like
YouTube.
Yeah, but at the same time, now you're like, you got to know that video, or you got to go looking for that video or something. When it was more, this was the stream, you know, this was the river, and we all had to go to the river to get water, you know, and so that
you had to wait for that stream to come on at what time that it came on.
Yeah,
there was no DVR.
Yeah, and you would
have to catch it when the fuck it came on, or you didn't catch it.
And like anybody who was up on MTV, you could talk to them about it, and they like,
everybody knew it.
everybody knew, you know.
It's like, yo, did you see MTV last night? Did you see that new Michael Jackson video?
Yeah.
When he was doing the King Tut and all that?
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah.
See, that...
Everybody knew, like, we like knew the people's names, like the hosts of each show. Like, I mean,
that's how you got your Carson Dailies.
you know,
That's how you got your, for me, it was Fat Five Freddy, because I was always watching MTV Raps, Ed Lover and the Fat Dr. Dre. And now you have to say the Fat Dr. Dre, because if you don't, then people don't know who you were talking about. He's still fat. I know who might have talked, but yeah, he's still fat. Fat Dr. Dre. No, that brings us to like our little next spot. What was your first hip hop? Actually, we know what your first hip hop. Actually, was Positive K your first hip hop tape?
No, I feel like I had the first Chronic tape, and I feel like that Ice Cube, It Was a Good Day, was like one of my first ones, and then I feel like the first Dr. Dre CD tape was one of the second ones, and then like the Positive K was one where like me and my buddies like did some work together and then went and got it. But that right there feels to me like, for some reason, I don't know if I'm not remembering well enough, and those were just three real popular ones from right then, but those are like the three that stood out to me the most at like that time.
So mine would have been the Chronic album, like you said. Mine would be, so I have the Chronic album, DJ Quick tape. I had Cocktails by Too Short. All of these were purchased when my dad was with me, because my dad wasn't really paying attention to shit. I would just literally hand him the tape upside down. He wouldn't even flip it over, just hand it to the cashier. The cashier would be like, "You sure?" He'd be like, I'm like, "Oh, Daddy, get this too." "No, put that back." "Yeah, I'm sure." Before I ask him, see, because you had to trick him. What you had to do is you had to ask for something else just to piss him off, so he's ready to go. And he was just like,
No, we're just getting this
we're just
one."
getting this. Go ahead. Boom. Done. Put it in the bag. Thank you. And then when I get caught, Dad's the one that bought it for me.
Dad bought it for me. And then how long did it take for Eazy-E to really jump out after the Dr. Dre? Do you remember?
I'd say right around the same time.
Right around the same
early
time.
90s.
So it was like, I think right after that,
93-ish.
right after I was like just coming off the highs of all the Dre stuff, then like, and I was thinking like, man, I'm never gonna like this Eazy-E guy, you know?
Especially when they were beefing at the time.
I was like, I'm never gonna like this guy. And then when I heard that shit, woke up quick at about noon, I was like, oh, this is my shit.
This is just dude that I had to be in Compton.
Like, man. What?
My older brother had that tape, and I ended up taking it off of him. Caught a lot. Man, my story of my life would be catching ass whoopings for stealing people's music. If it wasn't my mom or my dad's records and my older brother's tapes. But, you know, those musical choices definitely molded me to where I am now.
Right.
The explicit lyrics, however, because of the music that we tend to listen to at that time, that was a sticking point. That was a problem. I had to make my way as a young cub through the jungle of edited versions and Christian rock.
You know, and it was there an edited version to all of it? Or some of it you could...
Some of it had edited versions, but some of it you got the edited version and the explicit version. That little black and white warning label fucked my life up. It made it unlivable. Because all the music that I was dying to get my hands on and that I loved and that I saw in MTV Raps, every single one of them had the little black and white explicit label on it. And at that time, you would have Dolores C. Tucker. C. Dolores Tucker. All of that anti-rap rap and anti-bad lyrics, and I guess I can understand it because Two Live Crew was popping around then. I had that as a tape as well.
Yeah.
When my parents heard Two Live Crew, it was over. My dad was even pissed.
Dude, the first time I heard Two Live Crew, I was kind of offended as a kid. My babysitter was listening to it, but we were getting babysat like at her parents' house this time instead of at our house. And like she was like in her room bumping it, and like, you know, it was the worst stuff I had ever heard at the time. You know what I mean? And it was like,
your babysitter got it in.
Yeah.
If she was at home chilling, listening to, that's like listening to like Two Live Crew. Yeah, there's no like that. There's Two Live Crew, which is like one of the nastiest rap groups.
It took me years.
Exist.
Like when I first heard it, I was like, what the fuck is this? You know, I was a kid. I was getting babysat. And it took me years to finally hear it again a second time around and being like, that's what she was fucking listening to. You know, it triggered that, oh, I've heard this, you know?
Man, that would have been crazy if I would have shout out to all the babysitters. But if you are going over to some kid's house, or if you're at your house listening to Two Live Crew back then, or even now, you might be a freak.
But you know, they're
not judging, but you might be a freak.
They're saying some stuff on some of these tracks and on the radio and stuff that is like, it's almost too much for a, you know, like a kid, you know.
Oh yeah, well, we can't talk about that. I feel like having been like 9 listening to Two Live Crew, whenever I tell like my nieces they can't listen to stuff, I'm like, I'm a hypocrite. If they could only I listened to Too Short before I knew what half the stuff he was talking about was.
Yep.
Thank God we did not have the internet at that same exact time, or it would have been the worst.
Shouts out to album number 10. I played that shit a lot. I lived by that one for a little while. Getting it right. It was getting it.
Yep.
Oh man.
Too Short. Listen, Too Short. They stopped carrying Too Short, and because I remember when they took Too Short out the stores. They took DJ Quick out the store, and I explicitly remember when I once saw that they had a couple Eazy-E records, and then the next time I came back in, and I finally had my brother with me, because my parents said no. They're like, yeah, we can't sell it to you. So that was in the middle of like the time when like they're getting Congress people, and First Lady Barbara Bush was, we need to keep all the music with the foul language out of the schools and out of the hands of the little young impressionable minds. And at that same time I was like, shut up, bitch. And then that was terrible.
You're having a war. They're like slaughtering people.
Yes. Let me listen to terrible music so I could do hood rat stuff with my friends. Now that I think about it.
I do what I want. This is America.
I know. Now that we're parental age, I'm like, oh, these kids shake my finger at their nasty music like I wasn't listening to worse.
Right.
So yeah, we until Walmart decided to be an asshole and have like, because it was a lovely existence through the 90s until I got into middle school, right before I hit high school. I'd say about 96, when Walmart was selling edited versions of all your favorite music. I bought the Chronic 2001 album edited on accident.
Oh, God.
I was so upset because at this point,
what do you even do with it?
I kept it. I mean, they weren't going to take it back.
What do you do? Play it on your way to church or something?
Man, look. I was so disappointed. My mom was like, you can buy whatever you want now. She knew that if it didn't have swear words in it, because you might as well just record it off of the radio.
Yeah, and it wasn't, you wanted it in its original format. It's not like you were looking at it like enjoy a swear word. No, you wanted it in the original format, you know?
I wanted it to sound like it would have sounded like if I actually bought the album, because I did.
Yeah.
Buy the album.
Okay, so I have to say this. And before I go any farther, if anybody ever listens to this and I've listened to the Chronic 2001 CD with you, you know who the fuck you are, and I love you and I fucking miss you, because there was a time in my life where that CD like never left my vehicle.
No.
And I'm pretty sure that CD got stolen from me like maybe like 5 times. I'm pretty sure I bought that motherfucker like 5 times. And every time, like, I wasn't even like mad, you know? I was like, no, I just got to buck up and do it again, man. I just got to buy it.
Yeah, you got.
Yeah.
Somebody took your Dr. Dre CD. That happened to me a couple times. I mean, that everybody has to have at least one story to where you were listening to it at a friend's house. You put it in somebody's CD player, and either left it or you never got it back, or somebody took it out your CD book on the bus, because that would happen often.
Yep.
And if I would have found that person, I would have beat the shit out of them.
Yep.
Because that was the most disrespectful thing you could do in high school, was somebody pass around your book and you take the CDs out of it. And Turnabout has to be fair play, because I did that to a few people. And there are a couple people who got their Chronic albums taken. And I apologize for it. And I hope the Lord forgives me. But I know I got that karma come back years later when I do vinyl gigs.
Right. Yeah, no, it was, CDs were great, you know. They were always, you know, and that's kind of like this connection that you have with music. You know, I feel like the music today isn't quite getting as appreciated as much. I don't know if I want to say that, you know, not as much as going into production, or not as much as going into the art.
Would you be wrong?
I don't know, but
I don't think you'd be wrong.
Really, and yeah,
in certain genres,
certain
genres, it doesn't feel like they're putting effort into it. I won't go into my rap nerd.
Like, you know, it's just that it's. So when you go to a record store and you look through records and you touch, you know, like 50, 60, 70 records, and then you find that one and it like gets you excited, you know. Excuse me. The artwork gets you excited, you know. All of a sudden it's in your hand, and you know, maybe it's that heavy vinyl where like, oh, it's one of those thick ones. I don't know why, but that always gets me going, you know. Or if it's,
I mean, that's kind of a new phenomenon that a lot of people are now getting into, because like vinyl is starting to be a thing. Because you remember, and we're going to go into it later, to where we would buy a CD, you'd read the liners, of course you cared what the cover art is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, that was gone for a long time. And now it's come back, but it's not come back in a CD format. It's come back to a format like people are getting into vinyl. Like we've talked about before, we've done vinyl shows. It's a nostalgic thing that people are able to do with new music.
Yep. It's definitely something that's probably part of the thing that is attracting it back around, you know. It's I don't know how much you love an MP3. You know, you never held it in your hand. You never pulled the book out. You never looked at the artwork. You never, you know, you didn't put it on your shelf. You didn't organize it, you know. I mean, to some extent. Now, yeah, we do take an MP3, and the first thing we do is, you know, run it through some of our software and organize it correctly and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it just gave you so much more of a connection to the CD, you know, the jewel case, you know. You got to hold it right, man. It's delicate, you know, don't mess it up, you know. And
remember when we didn't want to get fingerprints on CDs, and you would absolutely lose your shit if somebody, like, if you would mess with somebody's CD about fingerprinting it up. So
dude,
we
DJ'd with CDs for quite a while, and you'd be drinking and DJing, and if one guy got a little drunk and got his hand wet and now he's kind of fingered every CD, now you're going back and they're all messed up, you know. It was to the point where you're almost cleaning them all as they go on, you know. But I can remember like the early days, or no, like then when we started burning and making our own mixtapes and stuff, burning CDs. At first, that wasn't something that you could just do at your house, you know. And
yeah, those first CD burners were fucking huge, like this kind of a box that you had to buy separately.
Yeah, and you know, you just write something weird on them, you know. You just write, you know. So many had like summer mix and hot mix and all this kind of stuff. After so many summer mixes and hot mixes and stuff like that.
Summer Mix 1999 is fire. And if I find it, I'm going to come back and I'm doing a whole podcast and y'all going to listen to it because it's the shit.
And we started getting real creative, like just start writing weird shit on there. Like, I know we got one somewhere named Porno Knobber and stuff like that, just to kind of, and we'd be like flipping through CDs, and then all of a sudden we'd think of a song and we'd look at, you know, it'd be like, hey dude, find that, that CD that says porn star on the front of it, and flip, you know, whip it out. It has nothing to do with anything that's written on the front of it, you know, but because it was a weird name, you remembered that it was, the track was on there, you know. But you had more of an appreciation for the music because it was fragile. It was the only copy you had. You didn't really, there wasn't like a quick way to dub it or something like that.
Really until burning, until every laptop came with a CD burner and every tower came with a CD burner, and you didn't really care about the MP3s or where you got them from because you were just about to make a mixtape out of it anyway.
Yeah.
You would be happy with getting a CD quality version. And I mean, that goes back to, you know, how we get our music today. When we do these MP3s, I mean, I'm using BPM Supreme, like record pools. When we used to have record pools that would send CDs, promo editions, CD books, data CD drives, and now we've kind of gone full circle back to the MP3s, but there are different places to get them now. Where do you get your music from now?
I'm like a weird kind of music digging guy, and so I kind of still stick to my old school digging ways, and so I get most of my music from like Beatport, iTunes, or did they change it? It's Apple Music now. Well, iTunes doesn't exist.
I think iTunes, I don't know if iTunes still exists or not. I know I got a software update, and that once that software update goes through, I think it'll all be molded into Apple Music, but
right.
We're still purchasing MP3s.
Yeah.
There's still different places to get them, just as long as you don't, we'll get into that a little bit later, but just as long as you're not ripping them off of YouTube.
You know, yeah, we'll do a more commercial show where we have to have some more commercial music, you know, but when we get to kind of flex as an artist a little bit, my music digging has always kind of had some of the basic roots where like, so a lot of my listening is on Spotify. I'm at work 50 hours a week. Radio's on all the time. And who am I kidding? I'm there 60 hours a week. And, the music's always playing. And a lot of times it's, it's most of the time Spotify. It's most of the time house, techno. We get some trap in there. But then we still break it up. And once in a while, throw on some classic rock. Being Michigan guys, we're big Greta Van Fleet fans, so we always rip that stuff a little bit. But so I'll take a track that I like here on Spotify and I'll like it throughout the day, you know, and say I do that for like a week or a couple of weeks or whatever, and then I'll go between Apple iTunes or between Beatport, and I kind of like Beatport a little more for it, but I'll take that song and I'll find that song, and then, you know, sometimes I'll buy that song right then and there, put it in my shopping cart, or most cases I put it in my shopping cart, but what I like to do is I like to, and I think everybody does, is then follow the label that released that track or anybody else that was on that track, or take that artist and go through some of his stuff and try to find anybody that he has collaborated with, and then start to follow some of them and some of their tracks. I kind of like to try to stay away from that. Like, you go to an artist's Beatport page, or you go to their iTunes page. I don't necessarily want their number 1, 2, 3, 4 song, yeah, that's, their most downloaded song, but at the same time, it's also, the song that everybody's heard so many times that it's really hard to, get that unique expression that you might be looking for on the dance floor, so
when you're going through those, it's not like we're pulling them off Spotify. You're using all kind of different options, but how many of these subscription services are you paying for? Do you prefer, do you use any of the record pools?
I don't use any of the record pools. I just go, I really just go from Beatport, iTunes, and I also listen to a lot of stuff coming out of SoundCloud. So I'm listening to stuff off SoundCloud, listening to stuff off Spotify, and then I'm using all that as like everything that I like. And then I'm either saving it in Spotify, or I'm hitting it with Shazam and saving it with Shazam, and then I'm really just using that as a lead, like, yeah, I might get that song, but that song sometimes can spark up 2 or 3 other songs that I'm even more in love with that I didn't know about, And so, back to the original question, probably most of my music comes off a Beatport. When we do a little more commercial stuff, I'll always load up a set with some newer poppy stuff that I can kind of mix in a little bit. But, for the most part, most of my music comes off Beatport, but I like to feel like my ear is better than the mainstream, and so I try not to jump on the bandwagon or the boat, but at the same time, like, I want to find that guy's obscure track that's hot, I want to make somebody dance to something that they, that's unique to them, play somebody that track that they haven't heard before, that gives them that look on their face, that that. So
yeah, playing everybody's favorite song before they know it's their favorite song.
Yeah
and that's kind of why I really like I like some of the record pools. It's because they provide a lot of some of these offbeat remixes. I know, like, since I use BPM Supreme, so I'll just keep using them as an example. They do their own kind of mix downs for specific things. They have filler. They have, I shouldn't say filler, excuse me. They have transition tagged. They have Serato flip tracks already pre-flipped to where you'll download it. It already gives you kind of a preordained transition and other stuff. So I like kind of the features that you get from it, because they also have curated sets. Yes, I want to rely on my ear, but it's also nice to have other DJs kind of crowdsources, because
that is
I'm
cool.
I'm using BPM Supreme a lot to try to get myself a little education on like house and techno music, and how to see how other DJs are crafting their sets and tracks. I guess, what's your inspiration off of finding these finding the tracks that you find that pique your interest, and you're like, boom, I want to hit that on that next gig there?
Man, we used to always say 1 foot in the DJ booth and 1 foot on the dance floor. It all started, man, we were going to the clubs dancing. I mean, yeah, of course we were like looking for girls and looking for a good time and looking to party and looking to have some drinks and stuff, but man, we were the dudes there dancing. We didn't show up to stand on the edge, we were always there dancing. And so I feel like that, you know, I feel like that's kind of in you a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I know some DJs that don't ever touch the dance floor, and they are, you know, some of the raddest guys out there. But at the same time,
helps to participate.
When it's that track that you don't even, like, sometimes we'll be working on cars, you know, and we'll be hammering away on stuff, making all kinds of noise, and then all of a sudden, between all the noises, I'll feel a groove, or I'll hear a groove coming through on the radio, and be like, wait, what's that? And I'll go over to it and listen for a couple seconds, and just those few seconds, I can already feel like I'm attracted to it, and that I feel like it would benefit my set, or benefit, or maybe just a lead to find some more music or something, you know. So I hit the like on the Spotify, and then, like, you know, we'll do that all week, and then we'll go back and play the likes, you know, listen to all the likes again, and kind of be like, oh man, you know, that one's real hot, you know, and come back into that one again.
So that brings me to my next little point of question here, because this is not necessarily on the outline, but from what you said, it actually kind of sparked it up, because I know, like, there's a little backlash for folks who were like, oh, are you using your Spotify to DJ? And I've kind of been swirling around with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with using, because like you said, you already have an ear for you. You're not looking for the top 4 downloads or the top 4 most streamed. You're looking for that more obscure piece. So it's good to have that balance between knowing what's popping outside and then using your ear to try to replicate that on a track that people don't know about. So, you know, how do you use your Spotify? Your Spotify is basically just a placeholder to be like, hey, I like that sound. Let me check that later, and then I'll go into it deeper to find tracks. Or
yeah,
saying,
it is.
Hey, I like these open playlists. I'll go with that.
No, I'm not doing any DJing from Spotify as of now, and as of right now, I'm not even actually capable of it. You know, it doesn't come through my CDJs. I see that they are pushing controllers now that does have the Spotify link. The thing that kills me, though, is I'm just not certain how it all pans out. Like,
yeah, like what kind of control you're going to have on the tracks to be able to mix.
Yeah, you know, and then, like, what do you do? Do you, like, at home hit the download on the Spotify so it downloads them all into your computer? Now, you can't move them. They're not MP3s. They're not yours, but they're downloaded. And now you take that to the gig? I don't, because, okay.
Well, I mean, let's be honest about it. There are people who have done pre-done mixes to where you'll be in the club and you'll see them moving the fader at a time that they don't even really need to move it.
Right.
So you're like, am I listening to something that was pre-done? Am I listening to something that was done off of SoundCloud or a Spotify? Because I know with Serato, you can go into your Spotify likes and playlists and you can do a full SoundCloud set if you wanted to.
Yeah, but how is it going to be stable? Are they playing it?
Oh, it's not. A lot of times it isn't.
Well, I know that you can hit, like, download, and you can download them all. You know, I think there's somehow that has to be incorporated in it, because there's no way. Okay, first off, if the bar has Wi-Fi and it's decent, I guarantee you that every single person that works there has the Wi-Fi, and they are all already on it, you know?
Yeah.
So now you're already talking like 10, 15 people are on it. That's before you get on it to try and do something professional, not to mention that they're running like credit card machines and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that at a live.
You can't be doing that live, you know? And that's why when someone walks up and they're just like, oh, will you play this? And you know, maybe it don't fit this moment. Maybe it isn't the right song or anything, but maybe it also comes down to the fact that there's no way for us to grab it in any kind of format that's going to be reliable, you know? What happens when this track falls or my, you know, YouTube doesn't come up for you or something, and now it's on my back and you walk away and you're just the one who had the crummy request, and now I'm the dude that, you know, dropped the ball or whatever, you know? No thanks, you know?
Yeah, I don't think people like quite realize that sometimes when we say, yo, let me check to see if I have it, we don't actually have it.
Right.
Or at least we don't have it in a format that that would be best served to be, listened to at that time. There are some people don't really know how the music format, like how you're playing the music that you're playing, really affects what music you're playing. It's like we've touched on it a couple times, how we've gotten together with Radio Wasteland, a record shop here in Midland, and gotten together to do those live vinyl parties and vinyl shows. But the music format type a lot of times determines what you're playing. We have a few different format types.
If somebody's going to come up and hassle somebody that's playing records, like, to me, that is just one of the, like, most rancid disses you can do on a DJ.
But they don't.
They don't get it.
They don't know.
And you might have it, but to, like, beat a guy up over it, that's like, I don't know, that's tough. Did you see that chick, like, took the guy to court and she's in there?
I was going to tag you in that earlier, and I didn't, because I watched it and I was, okay, you already know how I feel. I was more than a little annoyed. It made my jaw tighten up just a little more than it needs to. And I'm already on Tylenol 3s for how much I grind my teeth during dealing with the general public.
I think the heater's about to kick on, so let's take a break.
All right. We're gonna go to break at this one. 1, 2, 3, and out. And I'll be like, yo, one last. You do it.
All right, sounds good.
Still recording?
Yeah, we're still recording.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, and we back.
And so something else I wanted to get into just a little bit, something that was like a big music, I don't know if I want to call it influence, but just a part of that era and the way we were keeping music and moving it around. So I was like the first kid on the bus, or no, I was the last kid to get on the bus, and then I was the last kid to get off the bus. And so on the way home, it was like a long ride, Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of something that kind of sparked me into making mixtapes. You'd take like 1 or 2 tapes with you, and if it was like, for lack of a better term, the positive K, you tape, mm-hmm. You got, you can listen to it the whole time, so you were making mixtapes. And I can remember, like, my mom, I was like flunking out of spelling, and my mom was just bumming because I like knew every word to like every track, and she just couldn't believe that I could like spit lyrics but I couldn't, like.
Okay, so you ever get them when your mama say, 'cause this is my mom's favorite thing, you need to know your studies like you know them dirty raps.
That was it, that's it. And so, so she started like telling me, like, I forget I know she had some kind of counterweight. I don't know what it was mm-hmm. that she was pulling against me, but it was basically like, hey, look, I know you got a microphone. I know you can talk over those freaking mixes. So she made me start freaking count. She made me like do my spelling words before my mixtapes. They were recorded on my mixtapes, and I had to listen to my.
No. So wait. So you have mixtapes that you recorded your spelling homework over?
Not over. In front of.
Those were the original intro mixtapes.
Yeah.
We had the DJ Clue. Then we had the DJ Andy doing his spelling words.
Yeah, doing his spelling words.
I love it. We might have to gank that if the kids ever DJ and I get any kind of trouble with the spelling words. It's like, yeah, come into the studio. We're gonna do your spelling homework. And we should record that as a mix.
We should. And so I can remember too, like, I didn't want nobody to know, mm-hmm. And so I was acting like it was just Snoop Dogg, and then
so like you'd have Snoop Dogg in your spelling word.
And so like one of my friends would be like, hey, can I jump up on your music for a while? And I'd like clam up, like, yeah, all right, let me, and I'd like fast forward. Okay, right, here you go, and I can remember this one time where like this chick was like, hey, I think your batteries are going dead because the music's getting slower. And I was like, oh, they're probably about dead, probably about dead. Well, I don't know if she popped the tape and flipped it over or what she did, but she flipped it over to the spelling words. And before I know it, she's over there like dying laughing to my Walkman battery's going dead. And so it's like me talking in like slow motion, my spelling words. And so then the whole bus knew that it wasn't just Snoop Dogg on my mixtape.
Hey, see, that's not bad.
My mom,
back then. Like right now, they'd have roast. They'd be like, "Boy,
so
this dude can't spell cat." Thought he was listening to Snoop Dogg. Can't spell cat.
Yeah. Oh man.
You would have got. I'm glad I wasn't on your bus because I would have bullied the shit out of that.
The only good thing I had going for me is I was like probably there wasn't a whole lot of dudes there pushing me around, so it was.
Oh, you're the biggest kid on the bus. It's like I bet you wish you would try to make fun of me. I'll knock your teeth out. Just listen to Snoop Dogg and be happy I let you use my battery. See, that would be ungrateful. You let somebody use your batteries back in like the 90s when those batteries were like gold.
Yeah,
you got the nerve to try to roast me, man. Just listen to you. If you don't like the spell words, flip the tape back over.
Yeah,
because all you have to do is like listen to half of it and then flip it over. You look at the other back half of the tape.
Right.
So what was on your mixtape besides your spelling words? What were your mixtape classics then? What were the go-tos?
Oh God, if I could just jump through it real quick. I mean, I think there was even a time where I had the CD, but I couldn't make a mixtape from the CDs, so I would take the CDs and then make a mixtape out of it onto the tape and still listen to it in a Discman because it just made sense that way.
You'd make
made it
the CDs. You listen to the whole CD off the Walkman, off the Discman, but you made the mixtape off the CDs so you can get all the songs for your mixtape, right?
Yeah, and so it'll be on one tape, so you're still carrying a Walkman. You got a Discman, but you couldn't make so you got the
man. My Discman used to skip so much. I went back to the Walkman. I was like, man, fuck progress.
And there was like no way of putting it in a pocket or nothing. Like, what'd you do with it? You're just supposed to like hold it.
I actually remember. I broke my Walkman, but my Discman would make my CNC Music Factory CD skip so much. I am super embarrassed. It would make my shit skip so much that I ended up taking my Talkboy. If you remember,
you had one?
Yes, I got one for Christmas, and I put regular tapes in the Talkboy, and I was listening to Bobby Brown and Boyz II Men.
Ooh.
And Chub Rock on my Talkboy.
That's great, dude.
So I was already the coolest kid on there, but then I realized that people were recording over my Motown Philly tape. Remember the white cassette tapes? The white cassette tapes with the black letters?
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually mine. It was my older brother's.
Oh, no.
And then I thought it was my older brother's to come to find out it was my mom's tape. She beat me vigorously.
And what was getting recorded over at Talkboy stuff? Like
people
just saying stuff?
Some of it was Talkboy stuff. Some of it was like my own raps when I was like 12.
Dude, I just want to tell you right now, like on the pedestal of like cool shit when I was a kid, up there by the Talkboy was like Nintendo Power Glove and shit, It was
I never had the Power Glove.
It was like shit that just was like the omega of like coolness. Like I thought that was like unreal. Like I never had the Power Glove or the
I had the Talkboy.
I never had
and I put intros, so I had mixtapes. I would record the mixtape off the boombox, the double cassette tape. I put different songs on there, and then I would record little intros and little skits.
That is great.
Record like my brothers or my mom and dad yelling at me, and then putting the next song on there. And remember, like, I was still recording some of the songs off of Hot 107. So I would say the mixtapes were by me and one of the DJ, the Fly Jock, Tom Joyner.
Yeah.
So I had some fraudulent mixtapes. And if I ever sent those out, I'd probably get a cease and desist if I would have tried to sell them. But I tried to make mixtapes with me and Tom Joyner and the Fly Jock T Lamp. That was my Tony Lampley or Tony Lamp, something T Lamp. That was my favorite DJ at 107.1, playing all the hip hop hits.
That's great.
But no, my mixtape, my all-time mixtape would have been Crisscross, I Missed the Bus, Jump. I put Motown Philly on it. I put Poison on it by Belle Biv DeVoe. I had Ghostface Killer. I had Wu-Tang on there, Method Man, and Dishwalla, Counting Blue Cars. It was the most random mix because it was all this hardcore hip hop, like this R&B, and this random rock band from when I was in middle school that I just happened to love that song, that Chasing Blue Cars song. So if you know what I'm talking about, that was on my all-time mixtape. It was the weirdest shit ever.
That's great though. That's great. I remember I feel like I was like pushing some hard gangster shit at that time. Like I feel like Spice One was on there for sure.
Oh, that's money.
I feel like it had just classics on top of classics with just like the Doggy Style album, the Crisscross, the Chronic, the first Chronic album, a couple of different Ice Cube tracks. I remember having a few different Ice Cube tracks that I was hung up on pretty much for quite a while. What was the one?
You have any MC Hammer? Don't lie.
Yeah, I for sure had Hammer.
Me too.
Dude. I had
Me
Hammer.
too.
I had MC Hammer pants too. I did.
I was doing the too legit, too quick. I was doing the hand signs and everything.
Yeah.
And that was on the same mix as Sweet Black Pussy by DJ Quick. Sorry, Mom.
Oh, God.
Because I had Pray and then Too Short. And that was when I was just dangerously playing with fire. Because I started making mixes that would have like a good song on there. So I could like fast forward to it. Then like my mom would hear and it'd be all right. And then it'd go back to bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. She would always come in on that and she would take whatever tape. I got my boombox privileges taken. She would hide batteries on me and that's when it got real bad.
I remember having the Snow tape.
And okay, so everybody did. I don't want to hear anybody say that they didn't have not Ice Cube, excuse me. Vanilla Ice. Because everybody had Vanilla Ice. Ninja Rap was my shit. And off the strength of that, my mom let me get the Cold as Ice album.
Really?
I got that one on tape. So that wasn't a CD purchase. But you have Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer.
Sir Mix-a-Lot?
Sir Mix-a-Lot was a definite. Until my mom heard Put 'Em on the Glass. And then that was a wrap.
But that was number 2. Right, that was on the second. That wasn't on the first CD, I don't think, was it? Maybe, I don't know.
That I don't remember. I don't remember exactly, but I know I bought them.
Right.
And I know I got in trouble. No, my brother bought the first one, and I bought the second one.
Everybody had Whoop There It Is too, right?
I had Whoop There It Is because I had already bought the. So I had the. I Whoop There It Is. I had the tag team single. And then but I wanted the version in the Mighty Ducks 2 movie, so I got that.
What album had Mr. Wendell on it? What was that?
Yes. Arrested Development.
Arrested Development.
My big brother was big into Arrested Development, like the cross colors and like
Dude,
the '90s era rap. That's how I got into like Tribe Called Quest and
dude,
and the
that
Roots
cross
super
color
heavy.
shit, I jumped into that real heavy too.
Real heavy, because that was the fly stuff, man. That was Polo before Polo.
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't know what the style is now. You probably have to. I'd probably say Supreme,
Yeah. Yeah.
which the kids call it drip now. I shouldn't say kids, but
Right.
you know, the style is now the drip.
Right.
You got to have they do the drip check to where they're appraising their clothes online. I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
They got like $6,000 in an outfit. It's like, it's my $500 custom Apple Watch band. My Supreme hoodie. $650 for the Supreme hoodie. I got the Gucci jeans. I've got the Jordan 11's original colorway. I've got the Supreme socks. $10,000. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna jump you outside this building. I'm at least taking the shoes off of you.
Me, it's like I might be wearing like, you know, a couple $100. Most of it's party fam gear.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's right. It's stylish. I look fresh. Drip check.
Good in every occasion.
All good. This, this is, you wear this to a wedding. It's formal.
Right.
It's my formal party fam hoodie. Nah, man, but the kids.
The only time you catch me wearing something expensive is when I'm like carrying a CDJ or something.
Yes. And mostly that is whatever I'm wearing will be cushion so I don't break the most precious thing on it.
Right.
I'm not spending $500 on a sweater. I'm spending $500 on DJ equipment.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that, even though NAMM is going on right now. The North American Music Trade Show.
Let's let a few more of the releases roll through. I know they're already coming, but let's try to jump back on that in like a week or two and catch some of the. I don't want to go too far into gear that we can't get our hands on or anything like that.
Because we don't need to get our hands on it. We've got enough gear.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I would like to talk a little bit about the new Pioneer mixer that came out, and then we can also spend a little more time talking about gear that we've started with, been through, all that kind of stuff, and blah, blah, blah there. So there was one more thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Yep, wrap us up.
I told you that we weren't going to talk too much about things that I wanted to do because
you want to do a lot.
Because I want to do a lot. So we have to talk about things that we are doing. Well, I had an idea and I was pushing for it a little bit, and I found a small window of an opening, and so I planted the seed, and so now it's actually a plan in motion. And so I love this idea that Detroit producer Moody Man puts on this soul skate at the roll arenas, or at a roll arena in Detroit. Down, I'm pretty sure it's around Movement too, and it reminded me of, like, every time I've seen it, it reminded me of those first couple times at the roll arena, man. Where like, some of those dope tracks came on, from that era, and like, you're just looking around and it's like the coolest spot to be, and so I kind of wanted to come up with a way to relive that a little bit, or throw some kind of throwback to it. And so are you
doing what I think you're doing?
So I came up with a little bit of a presentation and threw it together, and the guy who owns the roll arena, his son-in-law had a vehicle breakdown the other day. Well, my coworker fixed it. And so when he came to pay my coworker, I shot this idea to him, and he bid on it pretty hard. And so he said that he'd help set it up so we could go in and talk to the guy that owns the roll arena. And the roll arena is, a roll arena and a bar restaurant. And so I've got two ideas depending on how far we want to take it. But what I for sure want to do is throw a throwback Roll Arena party, you know.
Yes, come through.
And I think we got it all laid out. Well, the coolest part is obviously we can't take drinks on the floor, but because it's a bar and the Roll Arena and it has that area right in between the two, I think we can set up right there. And so it can still be a place that people come to hang and chill and party. And so they're going to let drinks come through the Roll Arena. So
I want to do
and
this is why we don't have you do stuff like this, because you do awesome stuff like this, and now I have a thousand things that I want to do, and you get me excited and shit like that. Nah, man, like the Roll Arena, that was really the place where, because we've already been talking about, you know, how we listen to music. That's where I got a shitload of the music that I was really into.
Yeah.
That's where we got to skate with it with girls before we had school dances and stuff like that. Like,
oh, dude, like holding hands with a chick, dude. I mean, like,
that used to be the thing.
These kids now, they're like sending a nude before they even know the chick. Dude, you used to have to like get up the nerve. Yeah, I used to suck at skating, man. So it was real hard to do any pimping at the Roll Arena for me.
Not me. And I was a hockey player, so it was already my wheelhouse. But it was like I have a lot of Southern family, to where that was the thing to do. It's to go to the roller skating rink.
Oh, what's Fridays. The TI movie? What's the TI movie?
Roll Bounce.
No.
Oh, ATL.
ATL. Oh man.
I mean, skate culture being African American, skate culture that's another dance culture. It was another party culture. It's definitely something that, you know, was a 70s, 80s, and 90s thing, kind of died out in the 2000s. It would be nice to see that thing kind of come back. But, I mean, even just locally, the Midland Roll Arena was the spot.
Yep.
Like, I know that a lot of people watching this are from Midland, have a lot of good memories of going to the Roll Arena. I want to be in that DJ booth.
For sure.
I've always wanted to DJ at the Roll Arena, just to do a little throwback jam.
I felt like I could.
It works for like the kind of music. Even if we do a throwback party, we can look to do techno parties.
Yeah, we can chop it up and
house
stuff.
Parties, like that was. That's the
chop
move.
Up the lighting and bring some more lighting in. We can. Their sound rig's out of date. We can bring our rig in and so we can bump it, light it different, and so I might even, just to try to. I've never done this before, and I've always been hesitant to do it, but part of me has always kind of wanted to do it, you know, especially being a father. So I might even double the party up. It'll make for a long day, but I think
skate, adult skate.
Yep. I think we do an early skate and let the kids skate and freaking.
So it is like the old school type Roll Arena situation, because remember when we were going there, when we went there as teenagers, that we were able to stay for the adult day, so we'd be able to skate. You get there, hang out, do a little bit of crushing, talking to girls.
I remember everybody like waiting around. That's what we were waiting for. Was that what it was?
Was it time for all the kiddies to go, and they start playing a little bit better music, some of the new stuff, and the roller skating rink was just like dance clubs, a lot of place to test out good music. It'll be a dope experience to pull it off.
Yep. So I'm gonna push for it, and I know I told you that I wasn't gonna talk about things that I want to do, but we got the seed planted. The dude, when I told him all about it, he's like, "Hey man, I'm going to talk to my father-in-law about it." He's like, "I'll buy you and your coworker dinner." He's like, "You guys come up sometime and I'll get it all set up. We can sit down and talk with him." And he's like, man, the guy is an old time, huge lover of roll arenas and like roll arenas in the area. And like, he was like, you know, the guy, you know, he owned a roll arena back in that time. And so I think when we approach him a little bit and tell him like what we want to do and how we want to do it and stuff, I think that we'll get a good response out of it. And we already got it in. So,
because a lot of people they look for activities like these, and these are kind of like the little nostalgic pulls that kind of the music actually gets drawn out on there. Like we're doing an old school night to where we're playing the old school jams that used to play in the Roll Arena. People have all the good memories back. That'll, you know, it's like a chance to get to go back take
Yeah.
it back for a little bit. So
Yeah.
on that note,
That's a good one, dude.
I really hope we pull that shit. I can't wait to pull that shit off.
Yeah.
'Cause that's really the next. The club scene is fun. Everything is fun, but there are little projects that you get, little opportunities. That's
It's
that's
cool.
one that's nice to have that stumble in your lap there.
Yeah. That'll be a good time. So I'm gonna push that, and we'll keep everybody posted on that and let you know how it goes. So
Yes, we will. But
that's a wrap.
But until then, it's been real.
James,
Andy.
till next time.
Yep.
Baby.
Peace.
Yeah, man.
Shit, that went a little bit longer than I thought that was gonna go too.